And we are live. All right, what's going on, everybody? Triple Crown at 24 back on a Friday afternoon. It's time for a Super Collectors podcast. It's been a minute, and it's a little football flavored today. I've told you guys I've been looking to do some different sports. Well, here we are. I'm joined by Cards of Giants, whose focus is Eli Manning. His first name is Greg, so welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Correct me if I'm wrong too, but you have some smaller player collections as well. You have Saquon Barkley, Landon Collins, and Lawrence Taylor. If I'm right.
I do. Saquon, not so much anymore. Well, I don't know why I've steered away. I've just kind of steered away from. I'm not looking for him. Lawrence Taylor is huge. That's probably going to be my next. I'm sitting at like the 200 mark with him, so he's definitely going to be next coming on to the list. And Landon Collins is just my favorite player in the NFL, and has been. I followed him in college up into the pros. Broke my heart to see him go to a divisional rival in the Redskins, and I'm still following him
there. He's a good player. I wish he was on my team. So
yeah.
we're going to talk a little bit about his player collection. One of the main focuses of our episode today is going to be the difference between collecting baseball and football. You guys know that I'm primarily a baseball guy. I've got some football stuff up there in the background, but definitely it's a little different than what we've had before. Kind of get into the background a little bit. So let's get some more information about Greg first. Eli Manning is the focus of your player collection. So how did that come to be? I know that your name is Cards of Giants, so that gives me a hint as to how that possibly might have happened.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a New York Giants fan, born and raised, fourth generation Giants fan. So definitely I've loved the Giants. I mean, it's literally the first thing I knew, first sport that I knew. As far as super collecting Eli, when I seen a bunch of the guys starting this, not to name drop, but going to name drop, Dustin and Scott and Eloy and Mike did this whole super collecting thing, race to 1,000. I was almost in a lull when it comes to card collecting and YouTube. I was, just getting bored of just getting into breaks, getting cards, and it was what it was. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool. And the reason I started with Eli was I had the most cards of him. It was just, I went through, I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to have the, Landon Collins, I'm going to have a ton of, Lawrence Taylor, I'm going to have a ton of. And I just went through my whole collection, broke it down. And Eli, when I had like 110 Eli cards. So he was significantly more than anyone else. It makes it easy too. I mean, the guy was loyal to the New York Giants his whole entire career. As far as I know, good guy on and off the field, great teammate. Really didn't hear too many guys having anything bad to say about him being a teammate. So, I mean, and it doesn't help when the guy's got over 10,000 cards in the registry.
Right. He's one of those guys that's seemingly in every single product.
Yep.
So it's got to be a little odd now that Eli has retired. How have you kind of taken that news, and is that going to influence how you're going to collect him going forward?
Nope. I mean, I'm definitely going to continue to collect Eli. Any new products that come out, if he's in it, they will be cards that I'll be looking for. And when I was happy he retired. I mean, Eli, the guy won 2 Super Bowls. I got to watch 2 Super Bowls. Statistically, he's the greatest quarterback to play in New York Giant, the organization's history. But the last couple years, they were painful to watch. I mean, I just, especially the last 2 years. I mean, I know our records have been rotten, and I mean, I try to stay as unbiased as I can. But I feel last year our defense was just horrendous, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But prior years to that, especially 2-3 years ago, I thought we had a much better team than what our record showed. And Eli, he was older. To me, just played a little more scared. And I think when I seen Daniel Jones come in and he'll make that long shot and go for it when Eli would be a little more conservative in that situation. He couldn't scramble anymore. Not that he was a great runner, but he couldn't at all anymore. So I really feel it was time his time was done.
It's definitely difficult to see a player who means so much to your franchise. I will never forget personally, and I have no connection to the Giants, the defeating Brady and the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl. That is an iconic football moment. It is one of the greatest moments and stories in Super Bowl history, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For him to be able to go back and do it again years later with a very similar core group of guys is just amazing, considering what Brady has and the Patriots have done in general. So Eli, it's got to be difficult to see at the end, not being able to relive those glory days. I got to imagine.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Because when was their last Super Bowl? 2011. I think 2010 season, 2011 Super Bowl. Yeah, it was more so the last 3-4 years, and I'm not putting all blame on Eli either, because after Coughlin left, you've seen the just circus show of coaches who have come in there. It's just timing. It's one of those things for me. It's just timing, and I feel he had a great first 15 years or 12 years, and his last 4 or 5 years were poorly run, in my opinion, poorly run organization with a poor coaching staff.
I would have to agree. As an outsider looking at the Giants, it's definitely an interesting. Looking at we have a lot of name dropping of '90s Giants quarterbacks in the chat here. So if you guys have any questions for Greg as we go along, feel free to put them down in the chat, and I will put them up here on screen. So let's talk about your actual collection. In terms of, we lost him here for a minute, so I will filibuster for us here. Well, maybe I won't, because I can't think of anything to say. So give us a moment here to recollect ourselves. The chat is very sensitive with the bar when you try to switch over to the chat. So sometimes you get booted. There we go.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I know the chat button is it's weird on the mobile setup, so it's a.
And I hit it right when it's right next to the leave button, and my fat fingers hit the leave button. So I had to get it. I'm just going to let you put any questions up on the screen. I'll read them that way.
All right. So let's talk about your collection. What type of Eli cards do you like to go after, and what's your give me some numbers about your collection? Do you have any autographs? How many different cards do you have?
Total number of cards, I just did it the other day, actually, because I had some cards that just came in. I'm at 671 Eli's. I actually only have 3 autographs of the guy. One of them being a TTM that I sent out and was kicked back. The other one that I have, and I was digging through it. I couldn't find it because I keep the autos in a different box, but it's 2016 with Sterling Shepard, a dual auto. What I mainly like to collect, though, is probably game worn. I like game worn material, and I am definitely an idiot when it comes to the rainbows. And I'll start rainbows without having the 101 like a dumbass.
I would say in football, one of the biggest differences, and we'll get to this later on in our main segment, is you guys have some pretty nice patches and game-worn material in immaculate collection and products like that, whereas baseball, just due to the lack of licensing, there's not really that options with Panini. So I imagine immaculate's got to be towards the top of your list. Is there any other products that you like to target cards from?
Prism is number 1 for me.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually Prism. I just want I don't really care for any kind of patch cards, and I don't even know veteran wise. I don't even think they do patch Prism. I love all the different parallels that Prism Select is another big one that I like. And I actually enjoy greatly 2010-ish to 2015 Topps football and Topps
A lot of
Chrome.
people miss that Topps football run, especially now. We actually got a comment here from the lovely Jetman80 talking about player used memorabilia. Yeah, everybody's favorite from Panini.
Yeah, exactly. And they love to do it. It's definitely getting much harder. I mean, I was watching guys open up Flawless because Flawless dropped a couple weeks ago, and I mean, literally pulling player worn material out of that stuff. And I'm not talking rookies. Rookies, I get it. But to be pulling, I've seen some veteran stuff and player worn. I was like, man, with the prices of those boxes, that's kind of crazy to me.
You'd expect a little bit more bang for your buck with that, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you like to target Prism and stuff. I know you mentioned a little bit earlier on that you were joining the group breaks. I imagine do you actively go after the Giants, or you do more so the random team side of things?
Giants. I have almost gotten out of random altogether. And if I do, I'll try to buy 2 or 3 teams. And literally if I don't get the Giants, I'll offer all 3 of them for the Giants.
Okay. Yeah. That's you're definitely dedicated with that. So it's got to be pretty tough lately because the last 2 years, the Giants have been some of the higher priced teams in those breaks because you had Barkley in 18 and you have Daniel Jones in 19. I can't recall at the top of my head how the rookie class looks this year, but I know that there's no names as big as those two. So is that something that you might look into some more breaks this year since they're more affordable, or because Eli, it's just going to be dependent on Eli and your main group of guys being on the checklist?
No, I'll definitely go after him. It'll be easier. Like this year, especially, I would say 2018, I definitely spent a lot going after specifically the Giants. And this year, I got them in some, but I just primarily targeted my favorite products. Prism. I did very well in Prism this year through Snodzilla, actually, Snodzilla breaks. I probably got 4 Daniel Jones autos out of the breaks this year, 3 or 4. I know I got a Purple Power one, which is a low numbered out of 49, I believe they are. And then I got 2 sensational signatures out of, so 3 autographs out of that. I just targeted the better products for me.
You got some low number stuff in there. I know you're a rainbow guy. So do you have any one of ones, which are kind of the coup de grace of all rainbows?
Only one. Only one, believe it or not. And I've actually been I've been looking a lot more for 101s. It was never really a focus. I seen one, and it was really lowly bid on eBay one time, and so I went after it. I think there was like 3 days left in it, and I just put it max bid and forgot about it. Didn't watch it, and sure enough, I won, which is this one here. The glare is gonna kill it, but it's kind of hard to tell. But it's a black 2016 Rookie and Stars Crusades, and I think I won that thing for like $26.
Wow, that's
and ever since then, I've not been able to find another 101 so cheap. And I'm not really a plate guy either. So, because I see a lot of plates going low, I could probably have about 20 101s in my collection if I wanted plates, but I've never really been a big plate guy, but I might have to start.
Right. It's a lot of people are very opinionated on plates. It's very few are neutral on it from my experience with
it's one way or the other.
Yeah. So I imagine that one of one is probably towards the top of your list for the nicer cards in your collection. Do you kind of have like a Mount Rushmore of your collection of your favorite cards that you have?
I do. I wish the glare wasn't so bad here. But I do have, we'll just see how it goes. I got this gold 2016 select die cut out of 10. This is actually a pretty, I'm seeing it. Yeah, the glare is going to do it no justice. I can just describe them. but that's definitely one of them. I also have, this one's just more or less who it came from, but 2015 black and gold Eli. It's like one of those shadow box ones. It was actually gifted to me from Antonio, Collazo effect, and it was actually pulled by Ricky Russo. He still had the note in the card when it was gifted to him from Ricky, and then he sent it to me, and I didn't have it, and it was actually in the collection. That's
awesome.
that's my number 2. I do have another 2005 Rookie and Stars. I like this one a lot. It's out of 165 from 2005, game used, which this is probably the one I spent the most money on because I just wanted a piece of game used from his second year, because more than likely it's off of a rookie year jersey. So I got that, and then I got my TTM, my rookie Eli that I sent to him, that he signed and sent back. Those are probably my personal top 4. Not value, no reason at all, just my favorites that look the best.
Yeah, a lot of people have similar lists where it's the sentimental value is greater than the actual value of the cards.
Yep.
And for anybody who wants to see these cards up close, I'm sure you've shown all of them many times on your channel. So I don't know if I plugged that at the beginning or not, but Cards of Giants, stylized as you see it down there.
And the same thing on Instagram. Instagram, you'll definitely see them.
You got the filters and everything on them there to make them shine. There's one that I always use. I forget what it's called, but it makes them pop every single
Mine's
time.
the second one over. On my phone, however, it comes up the option, I always hit the second one over, and it's in your face, and that's that.
Right.
And I just bought a picture box too.
Oh, did you? Those are. Yeah. I've been seeing those a lot, popping up a lot, and it's getting really tempting to invest in one.
They're awesome, and I found that thing on eBay for $15, and it even comes $15 or $20, and it comes with like 5 colored back screens: green, blue, yellow, like your primary colors, and it's awesome.
I guess I know what I'm doing after this stream today.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
So yeah, that's his social media, so you can go check him out on those platforms after we're done here today, and see a little bit more. I'm sure that there's even more cards that we're not going to even get to today that are pretty cool that are in his collection. So that's what you have. Let's talk about what you don't have, because it's always about the hunt and what's next. So any big plans for anything, maybe for your 1000th Eli card or anything that you want to go after in particular?
There's 2 cards in particular that I definitely want to get. One of them, actually, I don't know which one's going to be more realistic to go for 1,000, but I really want either a rookie card of his that, whether it be a Topps, whether it be whoever autographed, an actual autograph card from the company, and his are big time dollars for his rookie year. Like I was actually surprised to see how high his rookie autograph cards go for. And if not that one, it doesn't have to be his rookie year, but I want a Eli Payton dual auto card together. Those are probably two. Those are probably 2 of the biggest cards on the bucket list for me to get.
I'm trying to think of any Peyton Eli duel. I imagine that's like an NT type of thing, probably, that you have to find if it's
No, I mean I have a ton of his cards of Peyton and Eli together on it. And I anywhere from classics to, like you said, National Treasure, Flawless, something like. Actually, I don't know if I've seen Flawless, but National Treasures for sure. Immaculate. Immaculate's another product that I've seen a lot on. Yeah, unfortunately for me, all higher end stuff, except for classics. I think classics would have to be the way for me to go.
I'm a classics fan. I can definitely get down with that. So I know you have a lot of focus on the Prism type of stuff, and you're talking about some of the autographs here. So it's kind of 2 conflicting interests for you. So how do you manage going after certain cards? What makes you say this is an autograph that I'm going to go after, or this is a parallel that I want to go after?
Usually it's either something I pull or that I get in a break, and then I'll get it. It's pretty much guaranteed that I'm going to chase Prism. I'm going to find some player. Like I have the whole Lorenzo Carter from last year because I wasn't chasing Saquon, but I think I'm missing like 2 of his from that whole parallel in Prism, and one of them being the 101, and the other one being the gold vinyl out of 5. That's all I'm missing from that whole, and they're awesome. They're beautiful. So it's a given. I'm going to go after Prism, and other than that, it's what I like. I mean, honestly, it's just I'll go and for me, I find I kind of go into funks. Like I'll be on just a game worn jersey, and for a couple few weeks, that's all I'm looking at on eBay. I'm not looking at anything else. I'm not paying attention if cards that I need for a rainbow's popping up. That's it. And just lately with the Eli's, it's 2019 Prism. I got a couple of his Prism cards, and a couple drinks later and a late night on eBay, and I got a lot more coming to me. So that's it. I don't know. I'm kind of weird when it comes to what I buy, how I buy, when I buy.
I think everybody's got their own style, so it's definitely interesting to hear because the way that I approach things, I think we talked about it a little bit on the last show, which was now ages ago, but it's just interesting to hear how people go about gathering stuff, and that kind of leads us into our main topic today of the difference between super collecting a baseball player and a football player. So Greg is our first football guest. We're going to try to get some more football guys on here and some basketball. And then if we can find a hockey guy, we'll get a hockey guy eventually. They're a rare breed, it seems.
That's probably that's my second biggest sport I collect is hockey. That nobody knows. People would say baseball because I do collect Yaz. I have a side PC of Yaz, big Red Sox fan. But hockey is probably the second biggest collection of mine that is completely unknown that nobody even knows about.
Sounds like you're gonna have to come back on for a super collection.
No, I don't know if I'll ever get that status for one player.
So you mentioned that you're into hockey and you're into baseball, and Eli is the focus of that. As a multi-sport collector, how do you go about managing that? I've had my own experiences trying to go after football PCs, and I had this conversation with someone as recent as last night about why I don't PC Barry Sanders as much as I like to, because it's too many different things to collect. That's pretty much the thing. So how do you manage to go after all that stuff?
You answered it. You don't. I have virtually stopped with baseball. Last year, when I first got back into collecting, I was going after both. I was getting into breaks. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for Red Sox. Was it just all Red Sox? What direction I wanted to go? Football is just, that's my first love. So that was easy just to stick with that. And then I went away from baseball. Then I kind of came back and was like, I'll do it, collect. No, now I do not do it. If I find like a Yaz card that I just have to have, I'll get it. But other than that, it's just from what people send me now. And believe me, and I love it. And I love all the Red Sox cards that I have in my Yaz collection, but there's just no way. And hockey, I do it because I enjoy it. I have twin daughters, 13. They really don't care about cards, but they're Canadian. Their mother's Canadian. They just naturally for them, hockey is their sport. So They love opening up hockey cards. So I get that with them and open it. But they have no idea when something's good to pull because I'll just be like, oh yeah, you don't want that one, and it's the number one rookie and his Young Guns card, and I'll slip that in a little thing that goes into Dad's PC. But that's what it is for hockey. So I open a lot with my daughters.
Right. Well, that's cool that you can form that connection with them and that they're interested in the hobby at a young age. I say that here as I just probably finished the 7th grade last week. So people will probably joke here in the comments. We've got a fellow Yaz fan here with Canadian cards. He's a he's a big Yaz collector as well, and he's a big hockey fan. So he's probably very happy with your answer here. We've got actually a few hockey fans in the chat. So have you talked about Yaz, have you kind of player collected, or even, I guess, to the extent super collected a baseball player or even a hockey player, or has Eli kind of been the first foray into really going after a certain player?
Lawrence Taylor was actually when I got back into cards, and I love the Giants, but Lawrence Taylor was actually probably the first specific person that I would just go on and buy his cards on eBay or through a lot on any of the social media. And but as people know in this community, there's care packages constantly going out to people from people, and I mean, like I said, there's so many Eli Manning cards to where somebody just has them and they would just put them in care packages. And that was actually the fun of it when I broke everything down, because I got containers and containers of, I don't have them sleeved. They're just regular base cards just put in the boxes so they can be kept safe. And I had to go through all of those, find all the Eli, and that's how I got my original count, and was like, whoa. And that's why I decided to take off with Eli. But LT for sure. I actually sometimes I get down on myself and I feel bad because I feel like, man, LT should be the one that's up here, and I'm too. But there's a lot of his cards, but there's way less of his cards than there is of Eli, and I can go onto a site and I can pick out 50 Eli Manning cards for 10 cents or less. Pay less than $20 and have 50 cards here before I know it. Can't really do that with Lawrence Taylor. A lot, his cards. I'm slowly starting to find it difficult for me to even find the cards under $5 of his now.
Wow.
And I'm not even above the 200 point. Like I said, I'm just about at that 200 with him. So, and I'm already starting to find myself. I know there's plenty more out there that are cheap, but they just haven't been listed. I just haven't found them. Is the problem? And that's another. I wanted to mention this earlier. Lots. I love lots, even though I know I probably there's nothing better when I can steal a lot on eBay for I $5 for 100 card lot of Eli Manning. Even though I know I'm probably only gonna have 8, it is still an absolute blast to go through all those cards and see what I have, see what I don't have, make sure there's that the brand of the card is not in a different color than the one that I have. So kind of nerdy in that way.
No, I love lots too. It's fun to kind of dig through, or if you're maybe at a show or something, and you can kind of, if they have like an Eli section or an LT section, just go through and kind of hunt and see if there's something in there that you don't have, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot of care packages in the community, and when I did my showcase for 2000 Cabrera cards, I kind of showed off some of the ones that I had gotten from different YouTubers. In fact, spoiler for tomorrow's video, this card right here, you'll see our guest mentioned in tomorrow's video on this channel. But on this subject today, do you have like a good memory of who sent you some of the cards? Is it someone that has really influenced you to continue more so on the Eli track than LT?
No, and it's really unfortunate. I mean, I would be able to. I could probably name off probably 95% of the people that have sent me Eli cards for sure. No, and you know what? When I seen a couple people put out a couple of, actually most recent is Dustin with his 1000th Kirby, and he had that awesome tribute video, virtually thanking everybody that played a part. I kind of sat back and was like, yeah, I'm probably not really going to be able to do that. Like I said, I mean, I do know, but I know there's no way I could put a name to the card. No way. I know who's helped me, but not named to the card.
Right. I have gotten lucky, and I admittedly, when I made my video, I had to cheat a little bit and kind of go back and look at my past videos to see who sent in what. So that, I mean, that's an idea too. If you
I could do that. Yeah, that is an idea.
so we've got a question here from Jeff McMahon. He wants to know who your hockey piece is.
Ooh, really nobody in particular. Mainly Chase the Young Guns. It's an insert that comes out of the Upper Deck Series 1, Series 2s. And I like chasing the, trying to put the whole young gun sets together.
There you have it. Young gun is definitely the way to go to hockey. We've got Amish Dave in here on the hockey train. Lots of love for hockey.
Hooray for hockey.
Yeah. Maddit and Crazy Titans fan chimes in with lots are awesome. So on the subject of lots with football, I'm sure that you've bought baseball lots before. What kind of cards are you looking for that goes into your decision to kind of go after a lot? Is there some threshold where I need to get this number of new cards out of it, or it should be, this unit price for card? What's the formula here to go after a lot?
Actually, it's pretty funny because I just picked up a lot like last week, and paid a good amount of money for it. And I knew I had 4 of the cards in the lot, and it was a smaller lot. It was only like a 13 card lot. But the cards that were in it were significant cards, whether it be lower number cards, game worn material. So I think I ended up paying like that 13 card lot. I want to say it was around $30. And for Eli, that's pretty significant. But if I see like, 100 plus card lot, I'll glance through it quickly. And one of the big things I'll look for though is they'll say 120 plus card lot, but then I'll see 4 rows of the exact same card. I'll stay away from that. Like, don't tell me 120 plus card lot when 40 cards are the same exact card. I will stay away from those. But other than that, those big lots that I know are just filled with base and everything, if I can through a picture point out, a dozen cards that I know I don't have, and I'm going to get it for cheap enough, I have no problem picking it up for that, for even if it was just for those 12 out of 100.
Right.
Still fun going through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the lots too, especially if you're someone who has a couple hundred cards in a super collection, or you're someone who's just starting out with your super collection. It's a very quick way to kind of build up a good variety of cards, and maybe tap into some stuff that really just doesn't get listed by itself, because sometimes you can get some nice little gems in there that people don't know what they have. People just kind of want to get rid of it all, and they don't, they don't price it out individually as such. So
one of the first lots I ever got was like that. He said it was just base. I think I literally bought it for like $2.50, and it was like 60 cards. I found 4 cards in there out of 20 or less. And I was like, what? I'm like, this guy did not know what he had. I'm not saying that they were $100 cards, but it was bidded on, but the way he put it and worded it was completely wrong, and nobody wanted it. It was just base, and I won it bidding for $2.
$2?
$2.
There you go. Those cards to me, that's you're gonna have that memory of those cards and being able to say, yeah, I got this sweet deal on it. So that's
I could go through these boxes, and when I come across them, I'd be able to pull all. It was 3 or 4 of those labeled cards out of there for sure. Because like I said, they were out of 25 or less, 3 of them.
That's kind of insane to think about. So with football collecting, a lot of the products are Panini focused now, especially since they are now the exclusive. Is there any preference that you kind of have towards brands? I know that you dipped into some of the older top stuff, that kind of final stretch Topps football. There's a lot of Upper Deck Eli stuff as well. From his earlier days as well. Is there a certain brand that you like to go after? I know we mentioned Prism or anything, or is there something I guess that football has that maybe baseball or different sport doesn't?
Upper Deck is one of my big ones. Like, I want to say 04 to 08 maybe. I love the Upper Deck. for Eli. So anything early on, I'll kind of focus myself to that. And yeah, then it kind of, like I said, then I kind of tried from that 2010 to 2015. I love Tops. I love the Tops football, and then everything recent 2014 ish, 15 is Select and Prism. I mean, if I'm searching and want to buy some cards and I just bring it up on eBay, that's all depending the year I'm going for. That's how I'm looking at cards. I'll type in Select, then I'll do Prism, which most of the time when you type them up, they're hand in hand anyways. You'll see both the cards on the search engine. And if I want to find, because I'll tell you what is weird since I started doing this and putting these together is some years I just feel like he just didn't have as many cards. Like 2011, I can tell you right now, is my least amount of cards in the entire collection. And you'll be lucky if I have 24 out of the almost 700 I have, or 2011.
Which is odd because he won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, where is 2011? I mean, I know I can fit the whole. Yeah, here real fast. I don't know if the glare is going to help, but out of 700 cards, that is all I have of 2011. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 cards from 2011 is all I have.
That's crazy.
And I mean, I've been going on eBay. That's been something I've been doing lately, is just going for 20. I'm like, what is going on with 2011? And even on there, they're a little bit harder to find. It's pretty wild.
From my experience too with collecting, 2011 is a popular time for the player I've gone after. And with those Tops, if you look at the checklist and the different kind of parallels they have, it is nowhere near what a Prism or Select has today in terms of that diversity. The concept of a first off the line exclusive is completely foreign to 2011. So I think that definitely plays a part in it. Do you feel that football kind of has this plethora of different brands to kind of go after, or maybe more so a wealth of different parallels in, say, a baseball or a hockey, or do you think it's pretty similar?
No, I mean, I would think just from, I mean, even just walking into like, LCSs, I think baseball and football kind of take the cake there as far as how much you can get. I mean, well, especially this year with basketball. I mean, basketball is right up there too. Hockey, I find a little bit less, but I feel that hockey. I feel like Upper Deck learned their lesson, and now I feel Upper Deck just primarily puts out. I mean, you can go and get your MVP, which is a low end product. I think you probably buy a hobby box that for $50 or $60. Upper Deck Series 1, like I said, those are probably around 100. But it seems like everything after that, like whether it be SPX or SP Game Used, and you get into all that, they primarily just do lower amounts of cards, more high end, I feel. And I feel basketball now, I mean, I'm not even going to speak for basketball because honestly, I don't know. So I'm not going to speak on their behalf. But I mean, they are a Panini product. So, I mean, I would imagine it's pretty much just like football. But I feel football and baseball now are just, they're getting overly flooded. Like, I'm sure you've gotten this question. I'm sure it's been talked about, but everyone always, mentions the whole crash. Like, eventually it's going to crash. I don't think so. And it's because of what you said with first off the lines. And, now you have your short prints and you can buy stuff and get base all you want, but it's the short prints, it's the low numbered stuff, it's all of that all the different kinds of parallels that you can get. I think that is what's going to keep people from, what'll keep people collecting and not leaving it. But the prices are getting out of control. That's where I'm kind of like, whoa. And I don't know what needs to happen, but something needs to happen to kind of knock these prices down. I mean, there's too many boxes that you see bought, someone spend, take like Spectra, for example, another product that I love very much, gorgeous cards. You're talking almost $400 for a box of that. And I've seen, I don't know how many boxes open, and you're lucky if you're getting $60 worth of cards. And it's like, I know every box isn't a big hitter, but man, even the big hit cards, Spectra, they don't hold their value. I mean, you're talking top rookies that you're not even fetching what that box is paid for. And it's like, what are you really buying at that point?
Mostly, I would say just probably to have fun and rip it. But that feeling lasts for about 5 minutes, and then you're like, oh man.
When you hit nothing and your wallet screaming at you,
right. And I think what's interesting about it too is, so for us, if we're going to go after cards from that product, say Spectre, you want to go after an Eli card, you could buy the Giants in a break. It's pricey to do that. You can also go after and buy singles, but you need people to be able to open those boxes, or actually take the Giants in a break to have those cards enter the market. And a lot of people recently, I would say, because of you have Barkley and Daniel Jones, people who are more so resellers might be looking to pick up the Giants more often. This year, maybe not as much. It'll be more so collectors who get to go after them, rather than
right.
the Sharks who want to get the big RPAs of the other guys. But it's definitely crazy, some of the wax prices. But I totally agree with you on just the different parallels you can chase. There's so many different options out there. Whereas if you look at the crash that happened during the junk wax era, they didn't have that. You don't have pack issued autographs, relic cards, short prints, numbered cards. Really, I mean, besides the Elite Series and Donruss baseball, that's pretty much the closest thing you're going to get to one of those. So here's an interesting topic here from Jetman80. Since we've talked about breaks a little bit, player breaks are great for higher end products, and that's something that I have gone after on eBay, just trying to win some auctions for my player. Have you gotten into any NT type of stuff with Eli, or LT even?
Actually, yes, I have. I'll go on eBay, and sometimes in the search, and I have gotten into actually both of them for, what was it last year? I think it was NT. No luck on either one, but I mean, it's the good Taylor, I'll pay a little bit more. Eli, I was getting some of his NT player breaks last year I was getting them for anywhere from like $8 to $15.
And how much is a case of that stuff? Several grand. So I mean, that's not too bad to.
Yeah. No, what I didn't mind for, and the breaks are fast. That's another thing. I have to sit there for hours. There might be even if it's a whole case, it's about a 10-minute break to go through a whole entire case of National Treasure.
Right. I've never personally had luck with an NT break. I think one time I might have hit a 101, but NT has definitely had its way with me. We'll put it that way over the years.
I don't really mess with it too much. The high end stuff, I can't. I'll look for singles, but even that's becoming tough, because that's actually another card that I would love to pick up. Is I'm really looking for an Eli, a flawless with one of the gems. I absolutely just think those cards are absolutely gorgeous looking cards, and I'll find one and I'll get it into the collection. But I'll tell you, man, those are not cheap cards. Those are going for more than some of his autographs.
Yeah, those gems are even on the baseball side where it's unlicensed. I've seen a lot of those gems command a premium. I mean, considering they're coming out of a $1,200 box, you'd hope so that one of the big hits. Yeah. In baseball recently, we've seen some super premium brands. So your Topps Transcendent, $27,500 a box, pocket change for most people. But you have your Topps Dynasty, which is one card for $350 to $400, and it's just an encased patch autograph. You have quite a few $1,000 price points with. A definitive collection recently came out, and some of those more just one card per box products, like a Topps Luminaries. And it used to be, we talked about 2011, like 2011 triple threads, which is like $200 a box. That was a big deal. Now, I mean, triple threads is kind of like moved into like a middle tier release. It's absolutely insane. And you've seen some stuff with football. Obviously, the NT prices have gone up, Panini One is a new kind of popular, just one card box. Do you
Yep.
see, sometime soon there being something that rivals a Topps Transcendent or something on the football side?
Man, that's a tough question.
That was a
I
very
don't.
roundabout way of getting to that, but
Yeah, I don't know. And I just don't think anyone. When it comes to baseball, I feel that there's more powerful greats in the game, like your Mantles and Babe Ruths and Sandy Koufax's, Nolan Ryan's. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. I just don't feel like that you really have the football players that make that kind of lasting impression. I'm probably not saying it right for someone to go out and spend that. I mean, I don't know. You put out a product, there's going to be people out there that are going to buy it. That's for sure. I just don't know how you would do that with football. I could be wrong. Maybe somebody in the chat would be able to answer that better. But I don't know. But I mean, Flawless is up there. I mean, I want to say just one of them little cases that you buy a Flawless is $2,800 buy. But that's got to be the most expensive thing in football right now is that. But a 25 like that Transcendent that you were talking about, man, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of the amount of autographs. Maybe that's what the problem is. I mean, what do you like, Jim Brown? I mean, you can't say guys like Brady and Montana because they're still signing. All these guys are still signing. So, I mean, you'd have to go way back. And I just don't feel that football had the high level of players like it does today. Maybe if you ask this question in 50 years, it might be a much different conversation. But yeah, I just don't feel like we have. I mean, baseball is huge, and you have just unbelievable Hall of Famers that go all the way back to the late 1800s, and the amount and what kind of players you can put in there. So yeah, I mean, I think that's why they still hold that power over football. Is they have the history, and that's what's insane with baseball.
Is there any? Here's one here from Dustin and Blake. Grades are not as clear cut in football, which I could see that to an extent. I mean, that if I'm envisioning a transcendent football, a big hit would probably be a Brady and a Montana autograph. But those are guys I wouldn't say it's uncommon to see a Montana autograph. Maybe you don't get as excited for a Montana as, say, I'm trying to think in baseball. Who would be the equivalent of that? But I've seen Montana autographs come out of breaks, often enough now. And someone who's coming up now, like a Mahomes, there's so many Mahomes autographs out there that it's crazy. But it's still good money if you want to get one, even if it's a
absolutely. I mean, even with Brady, I mean, if you get a Brady auto, I mean, obviously depending on the product, but I'm going to say hands down, that's an easy $1,000 card that you got sitting right there. I mean, maybe out of score or something like that, a super low end, it's going to be lower. But I mean, I don't know. You pull a Prism of Brady or any of the middle to upper sided card. Yeah, it's a $700 to $1,000 card that's sitting that you got right there. So I mean, that's what I mean. Baseball is just you got, like Dustin said it best, man. Greats, and the list. You ask 10 different people, you get 10 different greats that nobody would argue about. And with football, you say greats, I bet you a lot of people, in a sense, are just going to have almost your same grouping of greats, in football. And why that is, I don't know.
That's interesting. That's something that maybe we can do probably a separate episode on, or we can talk to a future football guest about that topic 100%. Probably in general. So we're not releasing Transcendent Football anytime soon. But if
I don't see it.
Yeah, if we could though, Is there a product that is released on the baseball side or even basketball or hockey that isn't done in football that you would like to see done for football?
Yeah, just Topps football back. Bring Topps football back. I'd be happy with that. No. I mean, I think the transcendent idea is cool. Obviously, I would never buy it. I think it's crazy that somebody would. But I mean, I've seen the cards that come out of it, and they're unreal. The cuts that you can get, I thought that idea was cool. What they did with it, because you could get, I mean, a president. You could get, just a famous actor. Even cuts from other sports. I've seen, other sports in there. So I think it was on like the jumbo card is what it was in the trend. Like when you pull one of those out and you could get like an Andrew Jackson, like a signed letter or something. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess one of those, if I was going to watch something and wanted to see something, it would be interesting to me to see what they did for football. Like who are the big boys going in there?
I could see there being like a Walter Payton cut autograph, and then maybe some. I guess the executives, I would say, is probably some of the more expensive football autographs out there. Or the coaches, like a Lombardi autograph, would probably be something that's pretty popular.
Another big reason why football might not be is, I mean, I know you had like the dead ball eras, and you had that kind of, but I mean, baseball to me is pretty straightforward. As far as the way the game is played is essentially the way it's still played today. And that's not the case for football. Football is an entirely, if you watch football now, even into the early 2000s, into the late, completely different games. The games were entirely different. Focuses were different ways. I mean, statistically, you take a look at the top 10 quarterbacks that are in the top 10 of all time, 3/4 of them are still playing the game. So, I mean, they've shattered all these guys that, I think the game has evolved much different also than baseball. But then you got the running backs. I mean, the running back, those guys, I feel it's going to be way tougher to touch any, like the Walters, the Berries, the Emmetts, who is number one. Because you don't have those workhorses anymore. You don't have just one single, guy that you got about maybe 5 running backs in the league that are just straight bulls, and then the rest of them is a running back by committee. Right. So it's, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's tough because like Jerry Rice. I mean, I was just having this conversation with somebody, a buddy of mine. In my eyes, his record will never be broke. Somebody would have to average like 1,000 receiving yards a year for the next 24 years to break Jerry Rice's receiving record. Never going to happen.
Right.
So, and he played in that different era that I call it from today. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really, like you said, this should be another topic, a whole nother podcast. You could get, it would be awesome to hear like 2 or 3 guys, 4 guys discuss this and get an outlook of you from everybody.
Well, that's something that we'll have to do at some point. We'll go a football roundtable, kind of like what we did with the baseball roundtable last time.
Yeah.
So we will. I say we, but that means I will look into it at some point. I'm trying to place the work on someone else here, but I got nobody to defer it to.
Dustin Abraham, that's who I send it to.
Yes, right there in the chat. He cannot hide from us.
No, he can't.
That's your.
And I'll text him right when I get off of this.
And that's something that surprised me too earlier when you mentioned the running backs, because I know that in the hobby, at least football wise, it's very quarterback dominated. So it took me by surprise when you told me that LT stuff kind of commands more than Eli, because defensive players are so neglected in the hobby. I know that last year there was a lot of love for Nick Bosa, but other than that, a lot of the top defensive players, unless they're taken in the top 10, that's who collects Clowney anymore. Clowney was a
nobody.
Huge deal. So it's really it's
I don't
interesting.
Even, except for your rookie year, like you just said, Nick Bosa last year, As far as defensive players go, you could just leave their rookie year alone, wait a couple years, because those Nick Bosas that were selling for $80, you're going to be able to buy for $8 this upcoming year.
Right.
And unless he, in my eyes, the only reason why I think somebody like Lawrence Taylor gets love is because, I mean, that guy's considered one of the greats in the position. So, I mean, when you're buying his card, you're buying one of the greats. So, and the greats in any position, it, you know, maybe not cornerback or safety, they really aren't getting any love. But, you know, you can, I noticed that the prices that, like Ray Lewis, you know, so I thought to myself, oh, well, let me go check out Ray Lewis's price. His prices are actually, you know, for inserts and stuff like that, are still going good and strong. But yeah, even on the offensive side, I mean, you know, running backs, it's because of their rookie year. So if you got a, like that Saquon last year for the Giants, but I mean, even his prices, bow, you know, nosedived, and will continue. Nothing will compare to his rookie year.
Right.
And even some of your receivers who end up having just unreal careers, their cards will never consistently, you know, obviously nothing will, but I mean, you could pull a Tom Brady if it's numbered 50, or you're still going to get a good chunk of money for a Tom Brady 2019, you know, out of 50, a short print card. You know, you're going to get a good amount of money. So, in quarterbacks, I find no matter what the year is, if it's a good short printed card, they'll always fetch good money, and the rookies forget about it.
This will be my last question, so that's a warning to anybody who wants to get a question in here before we wrap up. If we have this conversation 10 years from now with Eli, looking at him, how do you think his value in the hobby is going to look in a decade?
In a decade, low. I think he got a little spike because he retired. I think his next spike will come when he gets in the Hall of Fame. And like I said, when, because he will, for all you haters out there.
You don't beat the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl and not get in the Hall of Fame. Sorry, guys.
That's right. And then, yeah, then I think he'll dip. I think there'll always be a market just because he plays for that, you know, he plays for a New York team, A. So, I mean, the spotlight is there. You know, it brings the same kind of stigma like the Cowboys, the Steelers, the 49ers, those big market teams that have massive fan bases. So I think value will always be there. I'm trying to think of a player now who's retired who I could probably compare him to as far as like prices or go. Maybe in like a Brett Favre realm.
Okay.
Because I looked at his stuff now and he is very much affordable. I mean, if somebody wanted to get Brett Favre cards, it would not be a problem or an issue. So, yeah, I would say him. I would probably give him a comparison to him in 10 years from now.
Got a question here from Amish Dave. He wants to know the biggest steal in your Eli collection and the biggest regret. And while you think about that one, we got Dustin makes a great point here. We don't collect for value. I know that at least for you, probably just the memories of Eli. He has a place in Giants lore that can never be taken away, and it's going to be, you know, when you talk about the history of the Giants, he has to be one of the top bullet points there. So, I mean, that's something that I think you will always have personally as a collector to hang on to. That's a really good point made by Dustin.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and just like LT, you know, I mean, the Giant, yeah, you know, months from now or even right now, someone's sitting around a table and discussing Giant greats. I mean, there's not a question it would be unanimous. LT and Eli are both for those positions sitting there. My biggest steal is going to, it's a stupid thing, but it's almost like a Mojo 2018 Prism. This is 5 out of 10. I won this in auction for like 63 cents. By far my biggest steal. I think I had a top, I want to say I put like $20 down for my max bid, and it didn't even hit $1.
Oh, wow.
And a regret. My regret would be not thinking about that rainbow that I had earlier, the Crusades, because the only thing I'm missing out of it is the gold out of 25. I've been seeing one pop up on eBay and one sold in the very beginning of February, like February 7th, and I decided to put the rainbow together like the end of February. So if I would have been thought about this 3 weeks sooner, that would have been, that's probably the only regret I have. I don't have too many regrets. Not a very regretful person.
Yeah, you can't have regrets in the hobby. I've learned that there's too many things that happen that you can't you can't get too caught up. There'll be 10 more cards next week to go after. So
I couldn't even tell you how many times I've lost an eBay auction by $1. My max bid's 50, and somebody wins it at 51 because I wasn't either near my phone, around my phone, or just willing to pay more than what I put my max for.
Well, we've gone for about an hour. This is usually where we wrap it up. So, Greg, I got to thank you a lot for coming on the show. I had a lot of fun talking about it, and taught me a little bit about football. We got to continue the football run here, see if we can get some more football guys on the show.
Plenty of them. Thanks for having me, man. This was awesome.
Yeah. So now the video is about to end. As I always say, you have no excuse but to go check out Greg's channel. And if you don't, I will find out.
That's right.
That's Cards of Giants. The link is already in the description. So now you have no excuses at all. So you got to go check him out. He's also on Instagram. He's got his new photo box. So I'm expecting some high quality pics when I go check it out here when we're done. But if you have any suggestions for future guests you would like to see on the Super Collectors podcast, you can always feel free to let me know in the description down below. Of course, if you want to see more of his collection as well, you can go check him out on his platforms. And if you want to talk about any topics, feel free to share this wherever, send in your suggestions. So thanks again, Greg. And you have anything that you want to close with?
Just one last thing. If anyone, whether it be a young child or yourself, is either a Giants fan or an Eli fan, I probably have about 700 or 800 of doubles of cards. So if anyone's out there looking for help for Eli's, let me know. They ain't going anywhere. I got them. And other than that, no, this has been awesome, man. Thank you very much for having me on. And yeah, anytime.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. I will be sure to see you next time. You'll hear a little bit more about this guy right here on tomorrow's video. So stay tuned for that. But I'll see you guys next time. Until then, have a good one.